Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
This is a reread of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame as we prepare for the book Onyx Storm. This podcast is all vibes, no facts. Spoilers ahead. Maybe Venin aren't that bad.
Wow, hot take. Starting it off strong. Look at you go. Listen, I want to agree with you because I don't like generalizing populations of people. I would say there are some really bad Venin.
Yeah, but not all of them. I mean, clearly we have one who's not that bad.
I don't know about that. Him as a Venin, he could be awful. We don't know yet.
Maybe the Venin are just misunderstood and Xaden's in good hands.
I feel like you are not that far off of sympathizing with the Nazis on this.
Oh, no.
Yep, dangerous territory, Adri. Dangerous territory.
I was thinking more of what is the Star Wars thing? The Imperial?
The
Empyrean?
The Empire, and then you have the Rebellion.
Yeah, I was thinking Venin were just the Empire in Star Wars.
I thought Navarro was the Empire. I thought Venin were the Nazis.
What if the Venin are the Rebellion?
Okay, what if...
The Rebellion's Rebellion.
Fair enough. So then what is the Rebellion in Adriata?
I am lost. You said Adriata.
Isn't that the town that they're in?
No,
That's
somebody...
the other book?
That's someone cheating on Xaden.
Oh shit, that's the other book.
Uh-huh.
God damn. It starts with an A?
Eratia.
Well, here's why that happened. I looked at you and I thought, Adri, I want to get at you.
You've been cheating on Xaden.
I have not been cheating on Xaden. If anything, you've been cheating on Violet? Nope, that's me again.
Nope. And I see you haven't cut off the affair if it's still fresh in your mind.
I haven't re-listened to it again. I just got through it in a day. 2 days.
You better be faithful.
Not to Xaden. He hasn't earned it.
Oh, no.
Listen, in our vows, we promised honesty, and he couldn't deliver. So I can't deliver my
faithfulness
love sausage to only him.
So I'm kind of thinking maybe it's not going to be that bad, him being a Venin.
Okay. I
still really like your baptism theory.
Heaton comes up and dunks him in Violet's juices.
Oh, that kind of baptism.
The power of Sorengale compels you.
Oh, no.
I don't know why he made it. It's not that way.
Why is Heaton involved in any of that? No.
Well, Heaton breathes underwater and Violet's always soaked when she sees Xaden.
Oh, my God. I thought we were going a completely different direction with this.
It's your direction.
Just water.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we could do that too. But it's got like a sprinkling of Violet's wetness in it.
Do you have any theories about Xaden being Venin? Is he going to be saved? Is he going to be converted? Is he going to stay?
Born again.
Born again Venin.
Mariska Hargitay. I would like to think that he's going to remain a little bit Venin because he's going to be addicted to how powerful he is now. We only really get, 2 chapters? A chapter, really, of him being Venin. But where he immediately becomes Venin, he addresses the power that he has now. And then when he's walking down the hallway after he's become Venin, sneaking down to see Jack Barlow, he brings up how much more powerful he is now.
I did not pay that close of attention.
I did, because this is the part, honestly, I think I might like Xaden more in the next book. Now he's badass again.
Oh no, he's going to be tempted.
Well, I'm tempted.
Is being Venin like drugs?
I think Venin is kind of like being on PCP.
Oh,
where
intense.
You feel like you are the super soldier. It's Captain America serum. You know, you're just like, I can do anything. And they have to shoot you a bunch to take you down if you're on PCP. You kind of are Superman.
There's an excerpt about this where writers feel as though they don't reach their full potential, but dead ones obviously have hit that and become a Venin. I'm assuming it's really easy to overdose on power, and that's why they're training each other?
They don't appear to be limited. Like, Xaden immediately as an initiate is just like, holy fuck, I am power itself. Well, which is also how Violet feels, because Tairn is a deep well. But now I feel bad for Sgaeyl, because she feels as though she wasn't enough.
Oh, wow, that is what that would mean.
And she's given him the silent treatment since he decided to swing his leg over the fence, so to speak.
Yeah, she didn't speak once in the POV chapter.
No. Xaden Riorson isn't looking quite so shiny. She's like, that piece of shit.
Oh, no.
Are
confused.
you more or less a fan of Xaden upon his turning?
It didn't go up or down. There's no, you can't go up
Complete
anymore.
ambivalence to this. He's been maxed out the whole time.
Made me think maybe we could all fall victim to becoming venom.
Oh, man, he's kind of a Jesus-y figure to you. You're like, if it happened to him, it could happen to anyone. He's the one. Okay, all right. I don't feel similarly, but I like where your head's.
And also, I made a comment about the throne scene is what saves Ironflame. I lied. It's the last 6 chapters of this book.
Thank you. Yes, I'm
so
so
good.
glad to hear that, because the throne scene is not enough to save this book for most of us. Not most, some. There are probably dozens of us.
But these last chapters are intense. It's fast moving. It's amazing. I got emotional again. As you've called me out, I didn't cry over Liam. I didn't get emotional, but I did over her mom.
Which is good that you do have feelings. We've learned that you're not a complete robot, but it means that you need to re-listen to Fourth Wing again.
I've listened to it a couple times.
No. You need to listen to it in earnest from the beginning and try to listen to it from the perspective of Liam. Then you come into it and you gain that appreciation before he comes back in Onyx Storm.
Hopefully she has the second signet of...
We know what her second signet... Well, I know what her second signet is. I'm saying it that confident, too.
All right, let's put our theories in.
I'm going to let you go first because, spoiler alert, we already discussed this. We have the same theory, I believe, and I want to hear you just obliterate your old theory of Distance Wielder.
As we've gone through our reread, Distance Wielder does not seem likely. I think we're going to be introduced to one. It just seems so obvious we haven't seen one in centuries.
Whose signet don't we know yet?
Violet's?
Auric. We don't know Auric's signet. He said it hasn't manifested yet, which is suspicious as fuck.
Fascinating. I love that idea. Never even crossed my mind. But re-listening to Violet moving throughout the last several chapters, I did not see a moment of her being shocked how she got from one place to another. It was actually other people shocked at how fast she was running.
Yeah, she Forrest Gumped her way right into their attention.
I didn't catch it, but I also never caught a lot of things on our reread, like the ring around the eyes for the assassin, little detail. So it could still be Distance Wielder.
It's not. Auric comments, wow, I've never seen you run that fast. He didn't say, wow, I didn't see you blink in and out of existence. He watched you run and was surprised at your stride. She's not a distance wielder.
There's a moment later that I'm so excited to talk about where Kat makes fun of how slow Violet is. Violet gets a compliment from Kat, and she's like, you would do the same. She's like, well, I would have been faster.
Kat is amazing.
But I stand by, not true Sayer. We've seen 2 of them. Both of them suck. She's not a true Sayer.
And she's not getting the truth out of people, to be fair. Again, it would be a hilarious signet for her to have, given that her most important relationships are always lying to her.
There's precognition. I think that's a great one. Other than the tiniest detail you pointed out in the last episode that during the dream, the venom says to her, you're going to take down the wards, but she doesn't take down the wards.
We already know why that is.
Why?
Oh, because the venom wasn't talking to her.
Okay, that's... If these are Xaden's dreams and Violet is in Xaden's dreams, that is multiple times that she has been in his head with his dreams and during the throne scene. I do not think it was Xaden's signet why she could hear his thoughts during the throne scene. The closest thing I think we came up with was the doors were wide open to their bond.
Yep.
Could be a thing. Other than I don't know if Xaden heard Violet's thoughts. If she only heard his thoughts and he didn't hear her thoughts, then I don't think it's a door wide open between the 2 of them and their bond. I think it would be a sign of Violet's second signet and that she's intrinsic. And just like when she showed her first signs of her lightning wielding, she did not know she was tapping into Tairn's power. Now she does know how to tap power into the dragons. She knows how to pull from Indarna because she pulled from Indarna for making the runes because it was a lot less intense. So the times that she is reading Xaden's mind, I don't think she's aware that she's in tune with Indarna's power.
I think that's great. The other thing I think that really solidifies this is the amount of times that she will say, was that in their voice or mine? She brings it up a lot, and it's not just with her and Xaden. It is. She has a moment with Brennan.
No, I caught the moment with Brennan. She is in and out of it. She's passing out. She's grieving. She's falling apart. I guess when I heard that scene, it could play into the intrinsic theory, but it reminded me of those scenes in movies where they're having this shell shock moment. Their ears are ringing, everything's blurring, everything's blending together, and she can't figure out, was it Brennan talking or who was talking? She didn't say, I think she said, did I say that? Did Brennan say that? She couldn't figure it out. But again, it still falls into the intrinsic theory. She's not aware of her using her second signet, if it is.
I think those are intrinsic moments because it doesn't only happen when her mom's dead. She has another moment like that with Brennan earlier in the book.
What?
Yeah, there's another moment with Brennan. And then she brings this up at some point with either Mira or Rihanna. I can't remember who. But she has a moment there where it's like, was that them talking? She has so many of these moments, either toward the end of Fourth Wing or the middle or beginning of this book. She hears other people's thoughts. And then Varish being aware of Liam's presence that was in her mind, where Varish addresses something Liam supposedly said. I find that to be another interesting thing, because we don't know exactly how intrinsics work. We know they could read people's thoughts, but we also know there are varying degrees and types of intrinsic, because Xaden points out, I am a type of intrinsic. Not that he is just intrinsic. He is clearly laying out that there are multiple different things, and nobody knows shit about those signets because they all get murdered. So it's entirely possible that she could read their minds as well as project her own thoughts.
In the end, I'm going to cast my vote, which has changed week to week. I'm landing on intrinsic.
Me too. And you know what's crazy? I was not in this camp last week. I don't remember what I was into last week, but yeah, I wasn't there. And now I'm like, hey, well, yeah, no, she's definitely an intrinsic. And then I'm like, you know what? We have read these books twice now, completely, certain parts of them several times. The amount of people who have just read these passively and been like, oh yeah, no, she's an intrinsic, and then they've moved on with their life, they are going to hear this and be like, you fucking dummies. And rightfully so.
If we could still be proven wrong, there's so many theories out there.
That's not how tall white guy confidence works, Adri. Every time we believe something, we believe it to be true until specifically proven not true.
And if she's an intrinsic or anything but truthsayer, it is hilarious the amount of work that Rebecca has gone into to make people think it's truthsayer, because she has put out so many little clues.
Do people believe it is truthsayer?
Yeah, absolutely. And around Christmas time, she shared a photo of a gift she got from her sister or sister-in-law, and it has like seeking the truth or something like that. There are a lot of comments about the word truth. It makes sense why she would try to throw people off to keep the surprise and fun with it.
That's true. Do you think most people that read this book want to be surprised, or do you think most of them want to be right?
I think surprised that they were right.
I don't know how that works.
If I am right, I will be very surprised.
Really?
And happy. If I am wrong, I will be very surprised and slightly disappointed, but I mean, it literally doesn't matter.
This is the thing. I am never shocked when I am right, and I am also never that shocked when I'm wrong.
You've had some wild theories.
This is the thing. I live in a world of flux where I'm like, well, that's totally plausible. No, that wasn't it. Could have happened to anyone.
What are your reasons for thinking she's an intrinsic?
Oh, all the same shit you said. And then I honestly think that it's the only way to give her a second signet that doesn't make her shittier than Xaden. I think that's the other one.
And she's going to gain more empathy for Xaden if this is it.
God, I hope not. I really hope that she has this signet and then Xaden's becomes not that big of a deal.
If there is a hive mind with Xaden and the Venom, and then Violet can get in touch that way.
It's a party line. Now she's like, I'm talking to 200 Venom right now. Excuse me, Ree. Where do you guys get your pants? Okay, we need to start on one of these chapters because I want to talk about the last chapter so bad. Second to last chapter.
You're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Chapter 56 ended with the wards going up and Serena could wield, and Melgren requesting the meeting. So chapter 57, they meet with Melgren. Dragons can only sense other dragons mind to mind when allowed. Otherwise, it's by scent. Just a small detail and kind of explains a little bit of Soulless in the last several chapters. Sgaeyl and Tairn are fighting. Makes sense. I would be too. Violet is blocking Xaden, and he feels neglected and hurt.
Oh, poor baby.
I really thought you would be more sympathetic to him, that she's being ice cold.
No, here's the thing. I know how he feels, and it is a shitty feeling, but I feel like when you behave similarly to Violet in this scenario, it's generally warranted. Just because it's also shitty for me does not mean that it should be a burden on you to now behave the way that works best for me.
It was really cute, though, how often he's like caressing her mind wall or whatever that's called.
Yeah, it's like when you're poopy pants and I just lightly pet your back until you're less poopy pants. I try to, and then sometimes when you're really poopy, I can't touch your back because then you're like, no, get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, fine.
And then you try again later, like, now are we good?
I like touching base with you about things, but I would like to add, I don't know that I've ever kept a secret to the extent that Xaden has in this.
Well, his life was on the line, and
it was not.
You were being dramatic.
I was being dramatic?
You were being dramatic.
You just said his life was on the line, like Violet was going to have him committed and killed.
There are sound seekers out there that are like the sound version of Farsight.
He told her through his mind.
Yeah, that was definitely an option.
Yeah, his life was never at risk. Also, if Violet did go and start telling people, Xaden's a fucking Intensic, all he would have to say is, what? I wield shadows, dipshit. If it really came to that. And nobody's going to believe Violet. Violet has not exactly proven to be this great source of accurate information the first time over.
Yes, she is. Everybody trusts her, even with the wards.
People trust her, but she failed the first time with the wards.
Yes, boo-hoo, but things happen.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting she's done something wrong. I'm saying, who do they believe more in this rebellious group? Xaden or Violet?
Violet.
Do they?
Yes.
You believe any of those marked ones would take Violet's word that Xaden should be murdered for his secondary superpower, which they don't believe he has, over Xaden saying, I wield shadows, and it happens to be an incredibly powerful signet, and that is explained away through the idea of, oh, he was actually my great uncle.
I think we were arguing two different things, and I was just trying to say Violet is trustworthy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I agree. Violet is super trustworthy, but if Violet came to me with information where the result of that would be murder the leader of our movement, or not believe Violet and not murder him, in this situation, if I'm one of the people in the movement, I'm like, I think we leave Riorson alive on the off chance that she's brokenhearted, a little full of shit, and maybe confused. It would just be one person's word against the other person's word, and I think Xaden has a little more pull around there than Violet does.
Wait, I don't even know how we got here. What do we argue?
You said that it was life or death if he told Violet about his signet.
Oh, yeah, because it is.
How would they have proved? No, it is not. She could not have proven that he had it if he wanted to be malicious. Him thinking that there's even a chance that she would sentence him to death over having it is a problem.
I don't think he thinks she would do that.
Oh,
it was just more of a, when is the best time to talk about it?
How about when, even after you've flown out onto a hillside where there's nobody that can possibly hear you and she's taking guesses as to what it might be, you could use that moment. I have harped on this and I will continue forever because it was such a shitbird moment that you refuse to acknowledge as him just being a shitbird.
Well, Tairn offers to torch him because...
Correctly so. Thank you, Tairn, for being reasonable.
I think Tairn is just being a little dramatic because he's still upset with Sgaeyl.
No, I think Tairn is handling this correctly. If I found out some dude had lied to my little girl over some bullshit forever and then potentially put her life at risk constantly without her knowledge of this, yeah, I would say, listen, it's up to you. But if you want him murdered, I'm right here.
They see Lilith. She is exhausted. Melgren knew he would need them for a future battle. There's a war in Samara, and the Venin win. I was really hoping to learn a little more about his signet and that he can see multiple outcomes, and then he can be strategic to try to fulfill that outcome of winning. But I think he just sees battles and the outcomes. they're going to lose, and he's just going to do the best he can to try to win.
Okay.
Even though he already knows he won't.
This is the thing. I believe that there are influxes in his ability to see things.
Because why try fighting it and everybody dying if you're going to lose? Maybe he doesn't. This is why I thought it was just a yes or no signet, because you know you're going to lose. You send everybody. You already know you're going to lose and everybody dies. You pull everybody. You already know you're going to lose, so you might as well try. I don't know.
No, you pull everybody out.
That's not what he does. He sends everyone and he asks for help. They have a super long talk. Eventually it lands on, if you're not our ally, you're our enemy. Brennan arrives, freaking love it. Just her mom is like, what?
Yeah, it's a weirdly emotional moment because he fucking hates her and she missed him so much. He's justified for having his feelings to his knowledge of what went on, but it is still sad.
I really try to think about why they have the problems that they do with their mom. And I think what I ended up landing on is Lilith will do anything to keep her children safe. In order to keep her children safe, that is to protect the ward stone. She's in Sgaeyl. I feel like she viewed the ward stone as her way of keeping her children safe and her life mission to protect it.
Making them all riders is another thing. Like, if you weren't a rider, you'd be, let's say, infantry. We learned that they're just fodder in these chapters even.
Yeah.
So you're obviously not going to want them to be infantry. The scribes are fine, but if you also know all of that situation to be incredibly corrupt, you're not going to expose them to that any more than what you have to. You want to expose them to the thing that gives them the best chance at being able to protect themselves, which is a goddamn dragon. The only way you get that is to be a rider.
Because, yeah, it seemed her kids have a lot of resentment, especially Brennan.
And again, I think justifiably so, but I can understand her rationale as well.
Do we know Brennan's reaction to finding out?
That she's dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the spot that you were kind of battling me on a little bit with Violet, saying, oh my God, was that Brennan's voice or my own?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he was weeping.
Oh my God, that was so sad. I almost cried.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't, actually, but I almost did. The tears were welling, which is more than what Liam got.
I don't know why you have to keep throwing that out there. Stop it.
Violet admits that Brennan mended her. Lilith warns of their wards and gives them the other journal. And because of that, they don't fully believe her mom, because obviously everyone hates her mom right now. They go and they check on the wyvern. There's still like a hum to the ward inside, and Violet hits her mark with striking the venom to fully kill it.
The wyvern.
She hits the wyvern to fully kill it.
Yeah.
And that is what chapter 57 ends on. Then going into chapter 58, she goes back to Erasia. She meets Xaden in the sparring gym. She still hasn't blocked. And as they're talking, she references your room, and he corrects her and says, our room.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he wants them to be able to each make a rule, which is cute.
Yeah, she's keeping him from touching her, from feeling her bond, and from being near her. And do they end up sparring? I don't even know. If they do, it was his tactic of trying to be close to her.
Yeah, I think this was his ability of, this was his moment to replace her daggers, correct?
Ooh, maybe.
I thought that's what was going on here. And then he also wanted to talk to her because she's just been cold shouldering his ass.
Yeah,
He's like, your room. He's like, our room. He's like, you fucking live there too. And she's like, I'm going to go sleep over here. And he's like, no. And we never go to bed angry. And also, we're not allowed to fight in our bedroom. We have arguments outside the bedroom, which I remember you and I having a similar moment.
Yep.
We're like, we do not fight in this area. This is a safe zone.
We also had the same one of don't go to bed angry.
I think we've kind of stuck with that.
Yeah.
I can only think of maybe, I can count on one hand in 15 years.
It's usually me who's being irritable.
You go to bed angry at the world most nights. If you're up past 10:30, it's not me you're mad at, it's everything.
Do you remember Violet's?
Yeah, we're right back to honesty. Tell the truth. Quit lying to me.
Without having to ask.
Yeah, I don't want to have to play games. I don't want to have to ask. Just be honest with me. It's like, hey, You can keep trying to introduce a rule that he's not going to follow. Why? He didn't follow the last rule. Ask me anything, I'll answer it. Then he didn't answer it.
It wasn't a rule then, it is now.
But it was. He said he would spend the rest of his life doing things, which he didn't do.
You were being way too hard on him.
I don't think so. I think I'm being accurate. I like Xaden, but you can't give this man rules. He does not listen to them. He's a bad boy. He lives life by his own terms, which are, he does whatever the fuck he wants to, and you have to love him anyway. I respect the game.
Well, I guess we're going to find out how well he follows these rules. He did openly tell her about the venom thing. Nope, I think he looked at her. Did he say it? Please tell me he said it.
So, here's what he does. Basically, he's like, we're moving back to Sgaeyl, baby. Because she's like, hey, they want us to live here. And he's like, that's good. You'll feel safer here. And she's like, I already am safe. We're in wards and I throw lightning and murder people. And he's like, from me. And he turns. She sees the ring around his eye. She's like, oh, no. And he's like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the way he tells her that we're aware of.
He told her with his heart. That's what matters.
Okay.
I have to look this up.
I'll
There's
let
no
you
way.
go ahead and have this moment.
Since we clearly cannot stay in the chapter we're supposed to be talking about, he whispers, you love me. That's really sad because he's doing the reminding again because she has him shut out right now. And she replies, you know I do. See, that's sweet.
Yes. Yes. She is very sweet to him in this.
She asks him 3 questions. What out there should I be scared of? What did he tell you? What did you see?
He's like, I don't know. It was all the rosy filter.
He does say, he says, me. He answers the question.
Yeah, that's what should I be afraid of?
Me. And he looks at her and she looks at his eyes.
When you review this audio, I want you to go back to my summarization of this. I think it was pretty good.
Well, I was trying to make sure he literally said it instead of just looking
When
at her.
asked, what should I be afraid of? He answered me. And he didn't say because I'm venom. It could be afraid that I'll never be honest with you.
Shut the hell up. Chapter 58. Violet asks about his mother, marriage contract until he was 10, and he gives her 2 daggers. Yes, this was the whole sparring moment.
Yeah.
There's lots of war talk in the battle brief. It concludes with Violet realizing that it's not in Samara where the battle is happening. Chapter 59, and Darna is upset that she has to use the harness if she has to go to Sgaeyl.
She has to wear the Bjorn, but she doesn't have to be flown the whole way. It's just for when she gets tired. Tairn can carry her the rest of the way.
Yeah, she's pissed off about it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when we go hiking, you know, and like one of you guys gets tired and then like I miss those days. I still get it with you sometimes.
Yeah, I have weak little legs.
No, you have perfect little legs,
But you
they're
don't-
short.
You don't piggyback ride me on our hikes.
I have given you piggyback rides on hikes.
Not for long.
What?
It needs to be the shoulder ones because like on a piggyback ride, you gotta like use...
I was going to say, the last time I let you have a piggyback ride, and then you were like, my legs are too tired. And I'm like, okay, I'm holding them. And you're like, no, because then it's on my arms.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Yeah, because if I'm literally on your back and you're doing like the little crunch to try to stay on the back, that's where it's a little easier on shoulders, but then you have the balancing and more core strength on that.
I think I can carry you on my shoulders easy. I think the hang-up's going to be, you're going to be 8 feet in the air on my shoulders or further. And so the trees are normally a problem for me. It's going to be a real issue for you.
To push you along, and Darna says she only needs to listen to the elder of her den, and they all seem to be under the impression that it's Coda.
Tairn brought up at some point that it was Coda.
So even Tairn believes that she is a black dragon. Violet is headed to go find her mom, and I wondered in this moment if this is Lilith's purpose to protect the Wardstone, which is why she didn't go to Erasure after she saw all 3 of her kids. It seemed really weird. You see all of them, 1, come back to life, and you didn't go back with them, especially when it seems like Lilith believes in their movement, other than keeping the wards up.
I think there's 2 things that can go with this. Number 1, you're correct. Lilith is protecting the wards so that her children have a safe place to return to, right? The second option is she's the second most important person in this whole fucking army. She can do an awful lot to prevent her children from being attacked and killed over this disagreement by having so much sway.
True.
So I think both of those things could be the case. And Andarna is told to go hide in the Veil. And what does Andarna say?
I will be where you need me to be.
I will be where I am needed. And she's like, no, don't fucking argue with me. And Andarna's like, I said I'll be where I'm needed. I don't listen to humans. Like, don't worry about me. I got this. And then she goes up and poof, she chameleons her ass around the place. She's cool. I like it.
Got an attitude and she's cool. And the way she kills a venom later, cool.
Would you describe it as cool? Yeah, cool.
So Violet finds her mom, and her mom says to her, Black really does suit you, as the temperature drops.
Which is badass.
It was so badass. It was great. Violet took it as a compliment that it was.
She was like, oh yeah, you could have been a fucking scribe, and sure, you would have been fine. But now look at you, leading this righteous rebellion, showing up to save our bacon. You're super powerful.
Does she think it's a righteous rebellion? Because she makes a backhanded comment to Xaden of essentially the son follows the father's path after he saved Violet.
Oh, I think it has everything to do with the methodology of going about it that she disagrees with. I don't think she believes that the venom should have been information that was publicly traded, so to speak. Because also bear in mind, the venom were not a problem until very recently. Again.
Do you think her stance would be more similar to why attack Navarre and try to tear down Navarre, but she is on board with extending and putting up more wards?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea.
That is a much nicer take. So they head to the wardstone. They finally convince her to go check it out. She has moments of trauma thinking of Varish because it's down in the little cellar area. The guards are dead. Bade is there, has opaque eyes. What do you think that means?
Oh, like cataracts. But it's because Bade is being influenced by the backflow of magic from its rider.
Oh,
that's what I think.
Cool, sad.
It's being controlled because I think as a venom, they have the ability to manipulate so much power that they can even use it to control their dragons.
Oh, would that also mean that the sage in general can do that to humans?
I mean, potentially. I don't think it's the same thing as like straight up mind control, but I think when you already have a bond with your dragon, and especially if you have a dragon that's easily influenced, as we've learned the oranges are.
Small ones, I thought.
I think small dragons in general, but oranges are unpredictable for whatever reason. And I think it's because they probably have fewer brain cells. So to manipulate them is probably a little easier. It's kind of like our dog. I love our dog. But if I had to pick an animal that I think I was just beginning to learn how to mind control something in this house, I think he's probably my first success story.
He's a little derpy.
We got leopard geckos that I think might be more of a challenge to unlock than our dog. And I love him to pieces. But he's definitely, I might accidentally mind control him.
Well, either way, Bade is there, opaque eyes, Lilith gets knocked out, Riddick gets burned. At first, I thought it was Barlow's signet. I'm like, whoa, he's a fire wielder. No, I'm stupid. It's Bade. And he couldn't use enough ice or whatever it is, and he got burned. Really sad. And Jack kills Bade, and her blood extinguishes the flame. I thought initially that was intentional, like a sacrifice. That's the only way to put out a ward. But if it's just an eternal flame, maybe you need magic to put it out.
I imagine dragon's blood is sort of the antidote to the flame because it takes dragon fire.
Yeah.
To get it, and specifically the strongest fire of all of these breeds.
Because it would seem a little ridiculous to bring a dragon down there when he could have brought a blanket and suffocate the fire.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't believe. Here's the thing. I see what you're saying now. It took me a second to get there. Yeah, listen. There's no fucking way you were just going to fire blanket this bad boy out. Right?
Yeah, you have to use some
you
type of...
use water.
Yeah, I would assume that he would bring buckets of water if it was not a magical thing to put out the fire.
To be fair, it's probably easier to just sacrifice the dragon.
And probably, rather than carrying buckets,
I don't
just
think
bring
he
the
had to
dragon.
cover the wardstone in dragon blood. I think the little bit of dragon blood that got on the stone deactivated the fire.
I'm assuming she is a sacrifice to be able to put it out.
Agreed.
If that is true, then how did Barlow know this? Where is the information to know how to take down awards?
Big Daddy Venom. Big Daddy Venom is probably the guy who originally wrote the book.
Yeah, where's the third book, or how many books are there?
Wait, what?
How many books were there? How many journals?
There were 2. There was Lyra, and there was, starts with an M or an F.
Are the first 6 the ones that put the ward stone together, or was it the first 6 got dragons?
I think it were the first 6 dragon riders, is the idea. And I also believe they were all instrumental in putting up the word stone, but we don't know. Maybe 4 of them were illiterate. I'm just saying, it happened a long time ago. You got 2 that are kind of scribey.
Between the 2 journals, Violet, at least what she shared with us, never mentioned translating how to take the wards down or seeing anything about that. I don't know.
Well, just that's why guess. I think one of the original 6 is one of the mavens. We also learn that it isn't a sage that Violet kept seeing in the dream.
So it's a general.
Is a maven, yes.
Oh, a maven? A general? What's the...
A maven is a venin general.
Oh, well, you know more than me.
No, we said that last episode. You broke that down for us.
I'm going to fact check you on that one.
Please do.
Chapter 59, Nolan shows up, and he knew that Jack was a venin. There's a long discussion with Barlow and his whole plan. It's like a classic little, what's your plan? This is what we're doing. It's just like, you told us. It didn't matter because it was obviously too late. Barlow starts draining Dane, and he gets gray handprints. This is where all the theories of Violet's hair, I think, come from, is seeing what happens when the magic is pulled from you. I don't know.
I thought this came from, it drains the life from something. What happens as we move on further in life? Our hair turns gray. That's why I thought that her hair was gray. This does make more of a supporting sense to that.
They drain the life source out of anything, like the source, because when she's in the arena, the rocks all around were from a location where the venin had already taken the life out of. Yeah. So I'm assuming those rocks are gray.
Yeah. Yeah,
bold.
That's what happens when rocks get old. They turn gray.
Just a bold theory there.
I like where your head's at.
But Brennan cannot mend that. He can't mend
life energy.
Yeah. So it's just completely gone. Nolan's only plan was to block Jack from his power. That's when we kind of discuss a little bit about there's only control, there is no cure. So they must leave at some point, because then they're having like a discussion of like their game plan. Infantry is to find the lures around the school. That's right, because Barlow kind of told us what was going on and how they found it. And they're like, well, we better go get those. The squads are put together. Violet and Xaden are put together, and they create their grid sectors. They all go to bed. They bang one out. Completely reasonable. It'd be really odd if
the fact that they waited to go to bed. If this same thing happened, you'd have been fucking on that ward stone. When are we going to get another chance? You know? I'm just saying, we'd have been clapping cheeks on that bad boy.
Brennan, turn your eyes.
You can close them, or we're going to go to the other side of a stone. But either way, you're probably going to want to plug your ears. You'd be making animal noises. No? You would be on board with that?
I'd be on
a situation we got to.
I would like everyone to leave.
Honestly,
like,
I don't even care.
You're just dropping trowel before everyone leaves the room.
I'm hard from the moment that stone's broken. I see opportunity where other people see failure.
But I don't think they finish, which is really sad. As far as...
Which one don't you think finishes?
Neither one of them finished.
That's ridiculous.
They were starting to get into it, and then they start knocking at the door, so they get interrupted by Brennan.
It'd be weird. Like, you get startled, and one of you comes just being startled, and then you hear her brother talking.
Oh. Chapter 61. Violet demands that her squad gets a grid that is over the wardstone. General Sgaeyl warms up the temperatures, then creates a storm to imbue her favorite weapon.
Yeah. And Violet says, if you can make these stormy skies a little more toxic, lightning's right there for me.
What kind of cracks me up about her mom imbuing her favorite weapon is there's some obvious signs that Violet is her favorite.
Right? She didn't do shit for the other two. And one of them's just a mender. What's he going to defend himself with?
It makes sense that there's resentment, but I think Violet has a skewed look on her siblings' experiences with her mother.
Yes, I agree. I think that's true of every child, of every parent ever. I think they all have unique experiences and they observe each other's experiences differently than their own.
Violet seems less understanding of Brennan's perspective of her mother.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The storm happens, which is awesome. Jasinia's in the archive. She starts panicking. Little Jasinia.
We don't know that she's little. Jasinia could be 6'5".
Jasinia's getting to work. Violet finally accepts. She works through her anxiety, which I think is really cute because the way she works through accepting that Jasinia is in this location, she is in danger and in the archives is, what she knows what she signed up for.
Oh no, so Violet doesn't say that.
What? I thought she did.
Somebody says it to Violet. Violet's like, you can't be here, it's too dangerous. And they're like, she has as much of a right to fight for this as you do.
What? I thought it was Violet.
Nope. I think it is Imogen, I think.
That sounds
might
like something.
be the one, or it was Ree. One of them is like, motherfucker, she has just as much of a right to try to protect this as you do.
And it's a good thing she's there. And Jasinia isn't wrong.
Jasinia's the whole fucking reason anything works out in the end and they don't all die. Jasinia's the goddamn hero of this story. It's the collection of people. But
it sounds like something she would write in there about herself, just subtly writing that she's the hero of the story.
Oh, they had absolutely no idea what to do. Luckily, I found a cool part in the book, and I stormed across that place, dodging falling wyvern and dragon fire.
Oh, poor Jasinia. Which dragon did she ride in on? Oh, no, she was on a griffin, right? It showed up later.
Yeah, I believe she was on a griffin.
That sounds a lot less scary and softer.
Hold on, it sounds softer, but it also doesn't sound less scary. That's like being on a smaller plane. It's not less scary than a huge plane.
It's slower.
Yeah, and two of you barely fit on its back, and you're just hoping this guy can flap its wings hard enough. They have trouble with elevation solo.
Do they have to brush their griffins daily?
Like horses?
Yeah. No, I picture that their fur or hair, whatever they may have,
is fur.
Yeah, it's pretty long. I bet they have to brush them.
Lions have long fur?
No, I think it's longer than that. Almost like a dog is what I pictured.
There's a lot of variation in that statement. What type of dog?
One that needs brushed.
Like a border collie.
Yeah.
Long-haired border collie. Well, honestly, the worst part is now I'm just imagining the shedding on everything. That's why they don't wear black. It'd be terrible.
Well, I'm going to imagine that the griffins are really soft and that they need to be brushed daily, and that if there's a video game, I'm expecting to be able to take care of a griffin and brush them.
I love that this is a courtesy that's never been extended to any other animal in any video game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in the Barbie Dreamhouse thing, there's like a
video game of Barbie?
Yes. What is the type of person that has show horses and they look really preppy?
Rich.
Yeah.
Oh, dressage people, though.
Yeah, it's dressage Barbie game.
So it's mostly about the horses. Barbie is just the part that got you there.
Yeah. And
is it like Briar and Barbie had like this team up? We're going to take the video game world by storm.
The fact that I am this age and still remember this game.
Well, it's an old game.
Yeah. You think I'm just playing a Barbie game in the last
what you
decade?
do at work. I don't know. I assume at work sometimes you guys just gather around a computer playing Barbie dressage.
Wait, we're getting off track. The war begins. All right, going from Barbie back to the war.
Isn't it always?
Violet takes out multiple wyverns. She can now aim. She's doing amazing. Are you going to give credit where credit is due?
Yeah, I've actually been giving Violet credit for the last 20 chapters. I have done nothing but sung Violet's praises for 20 chapters. It's Xaden who I think is really fucking up. Violet is killing it.
Yeah, she's
Mom's giving her that little layup. She's aiming, and she does the most badass move in this.
Oh, yeah, that's my next note. Badass fight. And
Good.
Tairn is incredible.
Tairn is amazing, and he chews Violet's ass, which both things are necessary.
This is before the Sawyer incident, but we're not even at that scene yet. And Darna's in hiding. Violet is giving instructions to her squad, and Tairn says she's beginning to think. Violet cuts him off and says, like Brennan. Sgaeyl answers, like Tairn.
Super cute.
Which was amazing. I enjoy getting to hear from Sgaeyl and feeling that sense of approval from her, I think is a really big deal.
I agree. You think Sgaeyl purrs at Tairn sometimes? Because normally she's like cold and bitchy, but then like when she's really friendly. I think I'm really putting you in this Sgaeyl spot. You are not as mean as Sgaeyl is. I want to point that out. But you really do make me earn the affection I get. And I get the impression that Sgaeyl is similar. But then she has these moments where she's just a little thirsty.
And chapter 61 ends with running into the young Xaden, and she says to Violet, "You'll meet them all soon." And Rhiannon lands on Tairn in such a badass way. When Barlow did this in Fourth Wing, it was incredible and definitely beyond his years of skill level because nobody else was jumping and leaping from dragons. And now...
Technically, there was one other one that did, but you didn't mourn his death, so fuck off.
Liam did?
Correct.
I thought...
Her very first interaction with Venin, when they first have to deal with them toward the end of Fourth Wing, Liam pops over and saves Violet.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yep. He was the arbiter of badassery. And then he died, and you're a piece of poopy sometimes because you don't love him enough.
I think I get more joy out of rallying you up.
I think that's fair.
We're combining part 1 and part 2 of our episodes.
We are? We're going to make them one? Like joint twins?
So if we embarrass ourselves with things that we said a few days ago with today. Chapter 62 starts with Violet saving Rhiannon, and then I think Rhiannon saves Violet. I get very confused. Rhiannon jumps back onto her dragon, and we learn that Melgren is 10 minutes out, and the Venin are waiting for a second wave.
Indeed. What do you suppose they're waiting for?
I thought it was Xaden later.
Makes sense. The Maven's got to show up and...
Yeah, some big boss isn't here yet, and they're on a really slow wyvern? I don't know.
I think the idea is you send in the whole front portion of people to be killed off in a battle, and then once they've thinned the herd a bit, you bring in everybody else. General's not on the front lines.
So then they must have a ton of ASIMs, or who's the lowest of the initiates?
Yeah, probably initiates and ASIMs. I'm sure there are a dime a dozen.
And a lot of wyvern.
To be fair, it's a big deal that somebody kills a Venin, so it's probably like a 10-to-1 ratio at least, anyway.
I bet the initiates can't even make wyvern.
And then the Venin are so much more badass than everybody else.
They are really skilled.
Yeah, incredibly so.
Maybe they have a better school.
Perhaps.
Maybe they don't have a parapet.
I bet they don't. Or they do. And when you fall off, you go become a dragon rider.
In the next scene after this, Sawyer loses part of his leg. Violet jumps onto his dragon, then onto a wyvern, and then onto Sawyer's dragon and back. There was a lot of hopping around, which seemed to really just level up Violet's skill.
Tairn was pissed.
Furious. This entire time, he's upset.
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden you're like, God damn it, I have to wear this special saddle so you can stay on. You're hopping off. You're hopping onto other dragons, and you're just hopping off expecting me to catch you.
Well, especially, she's never shown that she could do any of these things. So she's like, I'm going to do it.
I know. And this brings into your theory of her second signet.
Oh, where she can maybe summon people when she's in need?
It's a reverse genie situation, is what it really is. It's super sad. The rest of the world just has to cater to Violet if this signal were the case.
People are there at exactly the right time when she needs them. And Darna's there, Tairn's there, Xaden's there.
And what an odd thing to be able to summon people as opposed to things.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good theory.
Summoning what you want would be cool for things, though. Like, you're in the bathroom, toilet paper, you got 2 squares left. You don't want it to hobble over and get below the sink or wherever you keep it. You're just like, come hither. And boom, I got rolls for days.
That would be really cool with grocery shopping.
Well, you no need. Look in the fridge. What do I need? Summon it all. Walmart would find a way to send you a bill.
Oh my God.
They'd be like, this shit disappeared again. I know who it was.
So yeah, Sawyer loses their leg. The first time going through, I thought this was going to be another Liam scene. And he didn't die. He made it through.
Yeah, so Liam couldn't be saved, but Sawyer can be. Sounds like Jasinia's the one writing everything out. Is all I'm saying. It's bullshit.
Liam,
So he lost it heroically. We're like, okay, really what happened is he had diabetes. He lost his leg to diabetes. And Justinian's like, no, he was a hero. Writing it all down.
it made me think of all the saddles. How I wish that everyone could have a saddle so you could guarantee nobody falls off their dragon in these battle situations. For Sawyer to continue to be a rider, him having a saddle would work.
How to Train Your Dragon is what we just...
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
He's Hiccup now.
Yeah, he could still be a rider.
I think he will still be a rider.
Not if he doesn't have a saddle, though.
Well, I mean, I don't know that his feet are the big thing.
How would you get the leverage? I was even struggling with the whole idea of being able to hold on to a dragon in the first place. Like, I know that I would be falling immediately.
Well, remember the dragons have magic to hold you in place.
Only Tairn did that.
Yeah,
And
only he did it, but that was when they first bonded him. Now, I'm sure Sawyer's dragon's pretty fucking attached to him because it wouldn't even save itself.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it really limits your dragon. Why not just get everybody's saddles? And while we're at it, everyone should also get armor, just like Violet.
Okay, but then that guy who technically shrinks things, which we went over already, he's just got a horse cock and he shrinks it down. Like, oh God, look at him go. He can make things grow. It seems like it'd be a lot of work for the shrinky dink guy. Make 5,000 pieces of armor.
Yeah, he might burn out, but it's worth it for the cause.
He didn't sign up for that. No.
He signed up for the military. You don't get to pick and choose. You get told what to do. Wait, did he even come with?
You're sounding an awful lot like Lilith Sorengale right now. Keep it easy here. You don't get to decide. We own your life until after. When do they get to? They don't even get to retire. They die.
At some point, they do say how long. I remember what it was. Riders are for life, and I think infantry is like 5 years.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The dragon riders never get to retire.
Nope. So it sounds like
shitty job.
It sounds like he's going to be in the armory
Forever. Just shrinking scales. Then you got to get somebody whose superpower is to gather, so they can gather all the dragon scales as they shed.
Rhiannon.
Here's the thing. Dragon scales are this tough. Why are they already not saving all these dragon scales and like making doors and things out of them?
I think that it's very dangerous to get near where these scales are.
What do you
No,
mean?
they're just shedding.
I was just going to say they're shedding. It's like, oh, your face is looking a little peely today.
Wait, do they shed like a
Like
lizard?
lizards. Well, other than, see, this is where I get confused too. Because lizards shed like skin. They don't really shed scales, but dragons have scales kind of like fish. So I would assume that they shed scales similar to how fish
Wait,
shed scales.
fish shed scales?
Yeah, Google it.
Because I just kind of pictured Mira picking up pine cones type of thing. No, they do not shed their scales.
Really? No fish shed scale? How does that work? Their scales just grow with them forever?
Yeah.
Perhaps they molt like crabs. I forgot I have the power of Google in my own hand. Yeah, reptiles shed their scales, but it's weird and gross and not helpful the way they do it. So yeah, I don't understand how the dragon scales work.
What I'm hoping for, though, is Sawyer gets a saddle also.
I just hope he gets a peg leg of some sort that we get to hear about that's going to be cool.
Getting back on track, Kat takes Sawyer to the healers. Oh, did Violet, stop the bleeding with her little...
Lightning? Did she cauterize the wound?
Yeah, with her Darth Sidious method?
I don't think so, because that's not how lightning works.
Right, that would just shock
be
him.
electrocuted. I hope that that's not what they did. She's like, I'm going to cauterize the wound, and Sawyer's dead. Oh my God, the wyvern killed him. You guys all saw that, right? The wyvern did it. Totally wasn't me. I could have sworn we saw lightning happening. No, you didn't. That was the wyvern.
I was thinking about it would be really hot, but no, it would also...
It would cauterize a wound, but it would also absolutely electrocute the shit out of him. Especially if she gave him enough charge to cauterize his leg. It's not like a small cut.
Yeah, because he's missing his leg.
Give him 80,000 volts. That should do it. We'll arc flash him. Ooh, his heart stops. She comes back. She just rubs her hands together like paddles. Just boom, blasts him back to life.
Yeah, I don't remember her even doing that because he starts passing out a little bit.
Probably blood loss.
Yeah. And then she feels that he is still alive. But this whole time, I have that Cat took Sawyer to the healers, but then, like, Cat comes back?
Yeah.
I'm
She's not staying there forever. She can't heal him. She's got shit to do.
Oh, she probably, like, gave him to other people to do it. So I maybe give...
She's got a griffin in there fast on the ground.
Yeah, I may have given Cat too much credit there.
Well, I feel like she still was saving his life. We're not... Listen, we can be mad at Cat, but...
Cat comes up to Violet and she's like, you did a great job. Whatever she heard, I'm assuming she's just down on the ground, sees all the lightning strikes, so she's like, God damn it, she's a badass bitch. And in Cat's way, she compliments her, and Violet says back to her, you would have done the same. And I love that Cat says, I would have been faster.
You know, it matches Cat's personality so perfectly to just go, yeah, whatever you did is great, but not as good. It is so Xaden.
Yeah.
If Xaden was trying to give Dane a compliment, and Dane was like, well, no big deal, he'd have been like, actually, you're right, it was no big deal. And they just kept moving on. Cat is funny.
Well, a Venom arrives, and she is excited to deliver Violet to him, whoever him may be.
Capital H-I-M.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You get that?
Yeah. God.
No. Okay. It's the band.
There's a band named Him?
Yeah.
H-I-M?
Yeah. His Infernal Majesty.
Oh.
She wants to bring him to him, and I'm crazy. One of you, did you see the lead singer, the front man?
Well, I was just thinking that it sounds like Wings of a Butterfly. It sounds like a great background song to what's all happening right now.
And when you think of the Venom, just being an emo, like emo metal band, it's really fucking funny to me. The Maven shows, I am H-I-M. Like, whoa.
It would be hilarious if all the high-ups of Venom were just emo kids grown up with the little side swoop, the black eyeliner, black nails in their hoods.
It would be awesome. And then it's just like red jumpsuit apparatus songs. You know, I'm in a real emo kick again.
Well, we have Navarre, which is, what would you describe?
Hailstorm, because its lead singer would be Lilith Sorengale.
So far we have the Venom, or H-I-M.
Or him, His Infernal Majesty. It's important.
Navarre is Hailstorm.
Yeah, Navarre is Hailstorm only because Lilith runs the place, and it was the first kind of emo metal rock band that I could think of with a female lead singer. There's probably better ones like, oh, Unleash the Archers is great for Violet.
Who is the Rebellion? This is more Xaden and Brennan type vibes.
Yeah, and a part of me wants to go with Hawthorne Heights, but I don't know about that. Bring Me the Horizon, probably. Or Rise Against.
That level of angst definitely meets the Rebellion level of energy.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to get called out because some of these are basic bitch picks for emo fans. Or would you consider this emo music?
Yeah, that was incredibly angsty.
Joyce Manor makes Red Jumpsuit look like nothing. But it's good. Yeah, any other questions?
What did we land on? The Venom are all emos? Is that what we got?
I would like to recast everybody in the entire book as different shades of emo. Because my emo pop punk metal rock music would just go so well with dragons. Catalina Fight Song by Joyce Manor is Brennan and Xaden just being angsty boys.
Back to Cat, Violet, and the ASIM. Cat is heightening the Venom's emotions, and she wants to be more than an ASIM.
She wants 25% more to be just like the male counterparts.
Well, when I was listening to this scene, I kept thinking, if Xaden moves up the ranks as a Venom faster than this poor girl, it kind of came off like she's been an ASIM forever, for years, and this is her moment to finally move up.
It sounds to me like she hasn't earned it, though.
Well, Violet strikes her down immediately. Another Venom arrives, I'm assuming a higher ranking one, and he suspends Violet in the air, and that is end of chapter 62.
Another Star Wars parallel. He's using the Force.
Ooh, yeah. And I think she relates it to her dream.
Is it her dream?
I don't know yet. I think they're Xaden's.
I think it's Xaden's dreams. I think Violet's intrinsic floating around in his brain. Subconsciously, she's rooting around in there.
Chapter 63, and Darna torches the Venon's face. It was so badass.
Yeah.
Takes a bite out of him and cooks it.
Do you think it smelled bad?
Yeah.
Why does nobody address it?
With all the hairspray for the emo hair, absolutely it stinks.
You went up like a house of cards. That's not the way you use that phrase, but I'm going to pretend it is. Like a dry house of cards.
Kat then speaks to Indarna. I think she's just like, did you torch him? And she's like, you do not speak to me.
Which is so funny because you have moments where you kind of forget that they're not allowed to communicate with dragons. But it's such a petty move on the dragon's part because they keep using their person to communicate back and forth with. Like the dragon can hear everything they're saying. They're having conversations and the dragons are interjecting. And it's like, you tell them this.
Well, it reminds me of those kind of cartoony fights when you're upset with someone. It's like, you can tell so-and-so I said this. Yep. And they're in the same room.
Yes, that's 100% it. It's so funny.
Violet realizes her scales are different, and she's having this moment of, no, you're not a black dragon. There is something very different about you. Violet and Xaden are back inside Basgiath. Justinia found the only difference of the journals is the number 7, and Justinia headed to Sawyer to make sure that he's all good. Violet realizes the truth about Indarna. She kind of puts all of her shields up. Then they have their big meeting. The ward stone is mended. And Lilith disagrees with Violet's plan while the sage is above them. I don't understand.
They think it's a sage. At this point, it's not a sage.
It's the general?
Yeah, it's the Maven.
Yeah,
because,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's
Xaden's
who
fighting him. And he's like, I will kick your sage ass. And that dude giggles. He's like, I'm not some fucking sage. I'm a maven. And then he's just beating the hell out of Xaden. And Xaden's like, he's not even breaking a sweat.
Wait, what?
We'll get into the fight later. That's between Xaden and the...
Okay, yeah, that's later.
Yeah.
As of right now, they're just like hovering above Basgiath, just sitting there?
Yeah, I think they're kind of waiting around, seeing how things are playing out. No sense in losing more people than you got to. Send the disposable ones first.
In some ways, everyone's pretty calm. Like, they're all kind of freaking out, but like not, they're literally above us type freaking out.
Well, the crazy thing to me is they're acting like the wyvern have a lot of air superiority over the dragons. If I'm the dragons, I'm a little insulted by that. I mean, like, actually, let's just knock them down to the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the wyverns seem to be a little scrappy. Like, you take them down and they're back up like robots.
Yeah, they don't have brains.
Oh, you know what? I had a moment of thinking that the venom were attached emotionally to the wyvern at some point. I'm assuming that actually just came from the flyers are attached to their griffins. And then I applied that also to the wyvern.
You did at one point make the note of, the Venom aren't necessarily bad guys.
Yeah,
I don't remember if you made that into a recording or if you said that and I immediately said, this is problematic.
I think we related it to the Powerpuff Girls of how the Venom were making their wyvern and that they had to also include love into making them.
I'm going to be the prettiest wyvern at the party. Yeah, so I don't know that Chemical X is the thing that they were really digging for here. I related it more to where David Mitchell's deal of, are we the baddies? Because you're just like, what if the wyvern aren't really the bad guys?
That's what I started this whole thing with. Maybe the Venom aren't that bad.
You shouldn't think that. They're really bad.
Xaden could be in good hands.
I don't think so. I don't know if there are good hands, to be fair. I think everybody's hands are pretty rough.
I like the idea of them having emo hands instead of Darth Sidious hands.
What the hell are emo hands?
Just normal hands with black fingernail paint.
Wow, really generalizing.
But Darth Sidious hands?
First of all, it was Sharpie for most of us. Okay.
But with Darth Sidious hands, ew, gross. They're all like wrinkly and long, dirty nails. Ugh.
I thought they were just old.
No, I don't think anyone's old in this book. The oldest person's like 45.
I meant Darth Sidious.
Oh.
Star Wars guy. I thought he just got old hands. I didn't think he had gross fingers.
It kind of falls into this book. When you pulled too much from the Force, it like took from his life. With these venom, why do I think somebody's wrinkly?
I don't know. You've done this on your own, and I love it.
I thought that the general that...
They look like warmed over death, I think, is basically how they were described.
Yeah, I thought they had pale, gross skin.
They do. They have pale, veiny skin. I think you looked at it as they're old as fuck.
They're wrinkly.
They look nasty.
Like an old potato is what I was picturing.
If you were older than the age of 65, Adri thinks you're gross.
No. Wait, if the oldest people in this book are actually the venom, I think that says more to the venom have a better life.
You think so? You think that's how that works?
If they're aging over 60.
Okay, all right.
I'm assuming Melgren's the oldest person in this book so far that we've met, and I don't even think he's that old.
How old do you believe Melgren to be? I know we've done this a few times, but it's always fun for me.
Like Lilith's age.
How old do you believe Lilith to be?
45.
You think she's just out there milfing it up at 45?
All of the fan art makes her like max a good 45.
You think she had Brennan when she was like 15?
Oh, I forgot about Brennan.
I'm just questioning things a little bit now is all.
Yeah, that doesn't work out. If
Brennan's pretty close to 30.
Oh.
And she was probably 22 when she had Brennan because she got out of the Rider Squadron. I don't think they give him paternity leave in the, not in the Rider Squadron, in Sgaeyl.
Oh, yeah. So how old's Lilith?
I'm going to say she's minimum 50.
Okay.
And most 52 or 3, depending on how quick they got to pumping.
How old is Melgren, do you think?
Oh, yeah, I'm with you. He's probably mid-50s.
Okay, yeah, he's not that old.
No.
Are there any grandparents in these stories? I haven't heard of a grandparent.
We have heard of one.
Ooh.
Xaden's
grandpa. Yeah, but he died.
Well, his dad's dead. His mom's probably a venom. I don't know. We haven't heard a lot about old people existing.
No,
Period.
I don't think they survived.
Or do you think they're just not things that people want to read about? People, if we want to hear about old people, we can just turn on the news. I actually support Rebecca Yarros in her ability to completely ignore old people's existence. Because I love old people, but I don't want them in my fantasy novels. I'm going to beat up Akatar a little bit. Most of that was made up of old people.
That's so mean.
What do you mean? They're like 500.
They're not grandparents.
Well, that's because they don't procreate well. There could have been grandparents, but it's still murdery and they're ancient. Imagine you hear about a 90-year-old rider in this. They're like, Pop, stay on, get on your dragon. And he's like, I'm still trying to get off from last ride. He's fallen off and broken his hip like 3 times.
Yeah, they said it's for life. So I think you just die a rider. At some point on your dragon, you just die.
On your dragon?
Well, I mean, I think one point you can't hold on. You're too old.
Yeah, well, I think that's when the dragon has to start using some magic. Here's the question. What happens if you're like 30 and you pair up with a dragon that is like, what, dragons live to be roughly 200 years old?
I don't know.
So, because Tairn's 100 and he's middle-aged.
If you get an old dragon that's on a
old dragon and you're young, you're like 20 years old and you're like, I'm going to live to be 85. And your dragon's like, I've only got 20 years in the tank. But you've already bonded them. You just know your time's limited.
Yeah, because you won't be able to outlive your dragon.
No, that's the thing. That dragon croaks, you're out too. You're really babying that dragon too. They're like, we're going to need you to fly to this outpost. You're like, we're going to take 4 days. Lots of breaks.
We got a story about someone bonding a very young dragon. I would love the addition of someone bonding
Just a geriatric dragon.
an old dragon.
It keeps forgetting where it's going, and the rider doesn't know flight. They're up in the clouds, and he's just doing circles for like 9 hours, comes back down, and they're right back where they started.
Tairn doesn't need to take off the harness. It just goes to the old man dragon.
Just clip up pop. It's going to be fine.
Who would
he's still flapping his wings like he's really doing something. They're like, does he know he's not flying on his own? Like, shh, we don't want to remind him.
Oh my god, it would be so funny if it was actually Riddick's dragon was freaking old.
Like, his dragon keeps calling him by the wrong name. It was like 2 riders ago. He's like, Thomas, we got to get going to Tyrrendor. He's like, Tyrrendor hasn't been a place for a long time, Pop-Up. Also, my name is Riddick. Who are you? Are you Thomas's boy?
He keeps forgetting about the revolution thing. No.
Yeah, the rebellion.
He forgets.
No idea it happened. We got to keep this on the down low, but I hear there's a scuttlebutt about Tyrrendor. He's like, they've already handled it. They've quelled it. We're actually on to the second civil war now. Well, who won last time? I would have so much fun with an old dragon. You know what? You're right. Book 4, we're doing elderly dragons. I don't know. I'm reserving everything for book 5 to come together.
That's what this book is missing. Oh, it would be great to just have like a little spin-off series and it's just Tairn as an old senile dragon retelling the story.
To a rock. Because he's mostly blind. He has no idea it's not a person. It's just a shape. He's like, so no shit. There we were. He thinks he's talking to a little dragon. Oh. It's just a lizard on the ground. Salamander. You'll grow wings too someday. And the lizard's just staring at him, terrified.
I was thinking maybe like Xaden and Violet's kids or their grandkids. And he's telling them stories.
They can't talk to him. That's not their rider.
No, he bonded them.
The children as well? It's going to make awkward teenage years. The kids are all bonded to their mom. The boy's thinking about some hot girl in his class and his mom can read his mind.
Oh my God.
That's a bad time.
This is not what I meant, but back to this, the sages of the
part here.
Yeah, we're going back. Xaden puts Melgren in his place. I don't know what happened. I just wrote that note down.
Melgren says, it's my army. I decide what they do. And Xaden's like, half of it is your army.
Yes.
The other half is mine. Yeah.
That was that moment. Thank you. Chapter 64. There's a letter from Liam to Sloane about Violet. And I think it's pretty much saying that she's not like her mother. And in all caps, I have, why does Xaden know they won't attack because they're waiting for him?
He saw in a dream.
But why would that mean that they wait?
What do you mean? He saw in his dream. The sage, one of them that Violet didn't walk in on. Another dream he had. The sage or Maven was very specific. They were like, actually, we're going to wait until we see you over by this rock and then we're coming down here to beat your ass.
Yeah, he the beginning of his dream may be starting at a part that he knows hasn't happened yet. When Violet asked him, he says not to ask. And I was losing my mind because just how many chapters ago did we make promises? We answer the questions that are asked of us.
Was this in the bedroom? Oh, it was the bedroom.
No, it wasn't.
No.
They're in front of everybody. They're like standing back at the meeting. And he's like, they're waiting for me.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, how the hell do you know that? He's like, it's best not to ask. And she respects it. That's nice of her, I guess. I mean, if we want to look on the bright side of...
It seems foolish, but she's running with it.
She trusts him. She's like, I know I don't need to know right now.
Yeah.
But Violet, I want to know. Tell
really
me.
Built this trust on nothing. She is putting up straw houses and expecting him not to blow them down. It's so fucking funny to me.
Well, she trusts that he won't hurt her. Physically and emotionally.
That's true.
And I don't think she's wrong.
She is wrong. He will hurt her emotionally. He's done it most of this book. He won't hurt her physically. But emotionally, he will trounce upon her feelings.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll let this go.
I guess we're going to find out how she handles... She's so non-toxic. She's going to handle him being a venom so well.
Does that negate her feelings?
I don't know what her feelings are going to be. I don't think our feelings are going to match, me and hers.
Oh, I think hers and mine are. I've been kind of on her page with most of this. She's actually been kinder than me, to be fair. But I'm not getting sexed up by the guy, so I'm seeing it from a little bit of an outside perspective.
Violet walks up to Coda, looks him in the eye, notices how big he is, and
How
says,
big is he?
He's like a head taller than Tairn.
He's like 5 feet taller than Tairn.
He's so big, she is shocked.
Yeah, he's a unit.
Tells him she needs to talk to him. He kind of side-eyes her, but then he gets down on her level, and she says, I know that you know, and now you know that I know, and we know. And he agrees.
Oh, and Darna's secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a little something special between them.
And he agrees to be there when she needs him.
Yeah, and Coda's a fucking monster, right? We agree on this. He's battle-hardened, he's scarred up. It's described as his wings are all scarred up and destroyed.
Melgren is in shock. Xaden is in shock. And Tairn is like, what the hell? That's the leader of my
you picked the
den.
one goddamn dragon that I can't just beat up readily. Do you think Tairn and Coda are brothers? Or do you think it's a father-son thing? What do you think's going on here?
Cousins?
Because dragons' colors are not entirely based off of their genetics, right? They kind of choose their color, or the color chooses them or something.
Yeah, they don't know what color they're gonna be. Like if Tairn and Sgaeyl had a baby, it could be blue or black.
Well, I think it could be any color. I thought dragons were like, my personality aligns more with this den. So I thought the dragon literally chose its den before it hatched.
Oh, that's a really cool idea.
I thought that's how it worked. I could be totally mistaken.
That's kind of sad that your child wouldn't be in either parent's den, though.
Why wouldn't Darna be the only one to choose that den, if that was the case? I must be wrong.
I don't think she really chose a den until they saw that her scales looked black.
No, she wants to be black.
Yeah.
Because she admires Tairn so much, but she's not a black dragon, and that means that she doesn't choose a den. I was wrong the whole time. You were probably right.
Oh, yeah, because she didn't...
Yeah, she wants to emulate Tairn, but she isn't Tairn's den.
She tells Tairn to stay with Xaden. She tells Lilith to stop the storm, and then she runs to the ward stone. Violet is just a total badass in taking control and just telling people this is what we're going to do. Really just steps up her leadership skills, essentially.
And people listen.
Yeah, and she's not wrong on any of it.
No, but is it not a little shocking that people are just like, yes, we listen to Violet?
I think it's because nobody knows what to do, but we have this one person who seems incredibly confident.
Well done.
And she says, this is what we're going to do next. The ward stone's now mended. He did as he was told, and now we're going to go and imbue it. She imbues the stone. She calls for Indarna, and Indarna discusses how she wanted to be just like Tairn.
Yeah.
Tairn doesn't know. Oh, and I think she even says something like, those who can't figure it out, they're not worthy to have this information.
But I do think of it like a tiny little, like, queen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if she was like 8 years old and her mom died and all of a sudden she's the queen. She's like, I am the leader of this country. It is me. I am my own boss. I poop where I want. Like that's very much what it feels like.
If there was a scene that Violet finally taps in knowingly to her second signet or taps into Indarna's power that would engage her second signet, I think it would be this scene, because the floodgates are open to both Tairn and Indarna when she's imbuing the stone.
Okay. All right, I see what you're saying.
I didn't see a sign of the second signet because
in that moment there was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. And Indarna waited 650 years for Violet, and you have the note, and yet here we are.
Yeah. 650 years. Let's think about that timeline just a little bit. Indarna knew all of this shit. She knew Venin were a thing, right? If she was aware for 650 years. Indarna doesn't mention Venin ever. She doesn't mention the wyvern. And she would have been there for she would have been aware of when they powered the first ward stone 500 years ago or whatever.
I think Indarna knows a hell of a lot more than she's sharing. I think she even knows Violet's dad, is my assumption.
Yeah.
Because I agree with Varish that it is quite odd that the person researching Feathertails has a daughter who bonds a Feathertail.
The word you're looking for is coincidence.
A coinkydink, one might say. Well, I don't think it's a coincidence, and Violet just doesn't know the information that Indarna knows.
I agree. I'm a little startled by the fact that Indarna would be keeping so damn many secrets.
She's like a dragon, Xaden. Or there's just so many secrets going on, and this makes sense why people think that Violet would be a truesayer since there's so many goddamn secrets.
I think there needs to be some secrets, right? Like to keep things interesting.
I agree.
But man, Nobody wants to be honest with Violet, and everybody trusts Violet just all the time. They're like, Violet's got this. She can handle it. And I'm like, Violet doesn't have any of the information.
Oh, so I have the note. Violet opens Tairn's door completely, and she's tempted to pull from the ground to save Tairn. I thought she had both doors open to both dragons.
I don't think so. Because
why wouldn't you?
It would kill Indarna. Indarna's not that beefed up yet. She's still trying to mature. Last time she pulled from Indarna almost was unable to ever fly.
That seemed a little different.
Well, it's not.
Okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Well, during this scene, it cracks me up that Lilith in this moment is talking to Sloane. She's like, what is your signet? She finds the siphon. She's talking to her. Her daughter's over there, like, killing herself by trying to imbue this stone. She goes over and she kicks Violet, and then she goes back to Sloane.
Spartan kicks her ass off the stone, and then she's like, I murdered your mom. I made you watch.
Yup.
Light me up, motherfucker. And Sloane's like, no.
Lilith means business in this scene because she just goes and kicks Violet, and then she goes back to Sloane and she's like, I murdered your brother. I murdered your parents. Now you're going to do this.
Lilith always meant business.
Yeah.
That's what we liked about Lilith. She was decisive.
Yes. And she takes Sloane's hand, puts it on the ward stone, and I noticed the smallest detail that she interlocks her hands with the other side. I don't know, whatever kind of connection, but they were interlocked. It wasn't like forcing her hand on her arm or something like that. Like they were actually holding hands.
Well, it's how else would you get her to continue to grasp you when she doesn't want to?
Oh, that makes sense. It wasn't endearing holding hands. No.
You thought this was one last sign of affection?
Yeah, the interlocking, that sounded sweet.
You took it as like almost like a scissoring, and I took it.
No, I didn't take it as scissoring. No,
well,
just took it as like sweet. Yeah, affectionate.
Yeah, a sweet scissoring. I'm like, oh.
But yeah, interlocking would mean that Sloane cannot let go.
Yeah. Yeah, I took it as she straight up was like, bitch, you're holding my hand and you're touching that ward stone and you're going to do this shit automatically.
Violet shuts her mental doors and Brennan starts helping mend her. Lilith forces Sloane to imbue. And on my second time listening, Violet is being held back by Auric. She sees this happening in front of her and she makes the comment of Sloane needs to know what's going on with Xaden as a way to convince Sloane to stop. And so Violet opens up her mind door thing to Xaden and she's filled with like sadness and she whispers that Xaden is dying. Sloane hears this, but if Violet's an intrinsic, I wondered if she was forcing Sloane to feel the same thing she was feeling.
Oh, you think she's like an empath intrinsic?
I don't know what she is.
Oh, okay.
But she made a comment about how Sloane needs to know this. And all she does is whisper Xaden is dying. So maybe that's all Sloane heard. But Sloane kept saying Violet's name too. She's like, Violet, Violet. And if Violet was taking over her mind in any way, that kind of plays into it.
It does.
Why is she still saying Violet's name? But at the same time, you're killing her mother.
Well, and you just saw her get Spartan kicked off a rock by her mom, and she's nearly dead and on the ground, and she's your only friend. I think there's a lot going on for poor Sloane, actually.
And seeing more of what a siphon does, Naolan siphoning to save Brennan doesn't make sense that Naolan died doing it.
It would make sense that Naolan could have burned out doing it.
Sloane just took the life of a human and a dragon and wasn't close to burnout.
Right, but if he didn't draw from the source, if Naolan was just drawing from his own dragon, he would have killed his own dragon.
Oh, so Naolan's using the source and putting it into Brennan to save his life?
My guess is Naolan became Venin, drew from the source, because he didn't kill Tairn, and Tairn was Naolan's. Yeah, that's what I think happened. I think the logic behind it would be that he used so much of the power. Tairn had enough power to burn out the rider, the same way he does Violet. Violet almost burned out, but it was because Violet couldn't move the power enough, not because Tairn didn't have enough.
Interesting. Yeah, I was just kind of thinking of how Sloane's siphon power was really seen in this.
Yeah, Sloane appears to be a better siphon than Naolan was.
Or Naolan's alive.
Well, I stand by Naelin is alive, but Naelin is alive and venom.
Chapter 64 ends with Lilith dying. Supposedly, Xaden's on his last leg here also.
What do you mean, supposedly? He is on his last leg.
Okay, yeah, he is. He was close.
The dude is throwing shit and landing nowhere. He's getting his ass kicked.
And the dragons torch the stone. Chapter 65, everyone is cheering. Everyone important is alive. I think she lists off several names, except for Heaton's. We don't know if Heaton survived Iron Flame yet.
Wow. Man, you really know how to bring your room down.
Heaton better have lived.
I like that we're talking about this triumphant moment, and you're like, Heaton is probably not around anymore.
She listed everybody except for Heaton.
Heaton's off in the fountain. She doesn't know what Heaton's up to yet.
Yeah. Mira is nowhere to be seen, and Violet walks to Sgaeyl, Tairn, Xaden, and Endarna. And I'm pretty sure Sgaeyl compliments Violet, and then Violet compliments Sgaeyl. She's just like, no, that's what's expected of you.
I'm expected to fight well.
Yeah.
I'm like, you dumb bitch.
It reminded me of a cat moment almost.
It reminds me more of if you went to a concert and you were singing in the crowd and the singer was like, hey, you actually have a nice voice. And you're like, oh my God, you have a nice voice. Like, yeah, no shit. That's why I'm here. Like, that's how I took it. I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's a really good analogy. I was like, Sgaeyl, just take a compliment. No, that would make sense.
So like, I'm not here for your vindication.
And Sgaeyl says, be careful with your words. Sgaeyl doesn't say much to Violet. And for this, she's like a mama bear? No, she's not a mama bear. She doesn't even talk to Xaden in the next chapter.
She's still a mama bear. She's prioritizing Xaden's feelings while not specifically addressing Xaden because she's really pissed at him. But she's like, be careful with your words.
He's a little ugly right now. Be nice.
This is the worst thing. He's not even. He didn't even get ugly. He just added more colors. He went from having emo iris to emo iris with accents. Is this an impressive visual to you? Does this sound ugly?
I'm assuming Venin are ugly.
Even Xaden.
Xaden as an initiate, he's just on the cusp of still
He's just got a red ring around his eyes.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Occasionally.
But if he keeps engaging in the source power, I'm assuming he's going to get ugly and wrinkly like a potato.
Or a veiny cock.
Oh, yeah, because they get all veiny.
It's all dick skin now, baby. But it'd be soft. Sometimes. Oh,
gross. No, he stays handsome, even if he becomes a general of the Venom. Yeah, that's what.
Maven. We have to use their terms.
Okay, I thought we learned general from the general.
The Maven says, I'm a Maven. And they're like, basically, he's like, it's a general.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the idea. Or maybe he says, I'm a general. And Xaden's like, oh shit, that's Maven, not Sage. I don't know.
Clearly, we're not paying attention.
All we know for sure is that the Maven are the most badass fighters, period, in the whole world.
Sounds more badass than Melgren.
And then Xaden is such a badass Venin that as an initiate, he kills the Maven.
Whoa.
Yeah. I figured I would leave this for this moment.
Oh my God.
Credit where it's due. It appears as though your Venin power is just whatever your power is outside of that, plus the Venininess.
I didn't even think about how...
So Xaden was like Sage level before becoming Venin, and then gained Venin
I thought we kind of landed on, once you've pulled from the source, you all have that unlimited access, essentially, but going through the Venin ranks is learning how to control it to keep from killing yourself.
So we did say that, and then we listened to these chapters. And what happened is Xaden, when he starts drawing from the source, feels lighter. He feels stronger, faster, more powerful. It is not just the magic.
It reminds me of...
He took steroids.
Oh, I was thinking of Twilight when she first turns into a vampire.
So here's the funniest part. I don't even remember that happening.
It's kind of like the last series when she becomes a fae.
Oh, okay. And she's just like, I got tits now.
Xaden's like, I got tits now.
Xaden's like flexing his pecs back and forth. He's like, jigglier.
Xaden killed the general, covered his face in shadows, I think, in this moment with Violet. Or maybe it's...
Oh, shadow mask.
Yeah, I think he just kind of like darkened his eyes a little bit underneath to make it a little harder for her to see.
He Darth Vadered himself.
Actually, I don't think that...
I am your seat.
I don't think that note is true. I just re-listened to it, and I don't think that happened.
I don't think so either, but it was a fun little experiment.
He won't look at her.
His eyes darkened, and you're like, he put shadows over him. I think it just means he was angry.
I don't even think it said they darkened. I think I made assumptions here.
Okay.
He says, you won't be as scared under the full wards. And she's like, of what? Like, I've seen everything. None of this makes sense. He's like, you love me. Telling her again, like trying to get that reassurance. And she's like, yeah, of course I fucking love you. And he has this slow gaze looking up at her. And I was just like, Xaden, are you just looking at her tits right now?
He's like, my shadow vision doesn't allow me to see nip through shirt.
And then he looks up at her eyes and she sees the red rings in his eyes.
How far down do you think his head had to be? I understand the image they're painting, but as a tall person who's married to a not tall person, how far down would my head have to be so you couldn't see my eyes?
I thought they were sitting next to each other, like on a boulder.
Perhaps. Okay, so we're sitting next to each other. If I slowly gaze up at you, at what point can you not see my eyes? Hold on. Experiment.
Gaze at me.
Okay, so I would say we were about 35, 40 degrees from making eye contact of me lifting my head. So if they were both sitting down and their torsos were also the exact same height, she could see his eyes long before he could see her.
Yeah, by the time you were looking at my boobs, I could tell you would have had a red ring in your eyes.
Yeah, I think I got to belly button. You were like, oh, he's a venom.
Chapter 66. There's no cure, only control, and this is from Nolan to Lilith. Does this chapter start with his dream, nightmare, a memory of him being suspended? Are his dreams the recruitment that we were talking about forever ago?
They could be. That would make some sense. I think the actual recruitment just comes from, you're desperate, you're going to draw from the source, consider yourself recruited.
Oh, I was thinking that Xaden's been recruited by having these nightmares this whole time, kind of prepping him for, you're going to turn, and convincing you. So you have a song for this chapter of Xaden after he's become Venom.
Behind Blue Eyes by The Who. Specifically, you could do the Limp Bizkit version if you're really feeling crazy. That's the song that's playing as he's leaving the bedroom and sneaking out and going down the stairs to visit Barlow.
Oh.
Nobody knows what it's like
to be the bad guy.
Bad man. The sad man. Both. But yeah, that's his post-Venom song as he's going down the stairs.
You're skipping a tiny bit.
I did, but it's when you brought up his dreams, it reminded me of the part of that song where it's like, my dreams, they are as empty.
But it would be so awesome if as he wakes up from this nightmare memory dream, don't know what it is, he looks to Violet and the song begins. Violet's asleep. I think she fell asleep crying for her mom.
And for the loss of the soul of her man.
Oh, no.
Well, they believe that their souls get commended to Mal. Yeah. No, it's not the living that's an issue. It's...
You think she fell asleep crying because he's now a Venom?
I think it's probably both things. Wouldn't you mourn the loss if you believed that you and I could have an afterlife together?
Wait, you don't think they're going to be in the afterlife together because he did this?
Yeah, I think Malik would refuse his soul.
What?
We're taught that not everybody gets to go to Malik.
I didn't know this.
That's why they commend their souls to Malik, why they burn things. And
Venom don't go to Malik?
I don't know. All dogs go to heaven, not all Venom go to Malik. We don't fucking know.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even consider any of that.
I'm assuming if your religious belief is it's a positive thing to be sent to Malik, that the people you view as inhuman demons, murderous motherfuckers, probably aren't commended there.
Yeah, that would make sense. Well, that really shifted the tone, but I'm really enjoying that song as the background as he's walking down to Barlow. In the Varish cell, he feels that increased power that you brought up, and he is told by Barlow, you can never give back what's taken. You can only crave more. And he calls him his brother.
Yeah. We're brothers now, I think, or something like that.
I want to add, I don't think the Venom have a hive mind anymore. I thought maybe they had a hive mind.
I agree. I also thought this because I was like, oh, that would make sense. They seem like they're in great communication with each other.
No, because you would have just hive mind Barlow. And he didn't. He walked his...
Maybe within the wards they can.
Ooh, we can still hold out for some hope on that one.
Mm-hmm.
My last question for you. Would you have done what Xaden did, but for me?
Yeah, 1,000%.
You would be Venom?
Yeah, also, I'm not going to lie, it doesn't seem like that crazy of a sacrifice. More powerful, more badass, capable of protecting everything you love. Yes, 1,000% I would do that.
But it gives up something and you don't decide what.
No, you do. I think you pay with your soul.
I thought Barlow said something about you don't get to decide.
Yeah, as in this is the cost. Not it's going to take something random, like you're going to go blind or your dick won't work. I don't know. I'm really running with Jin rules in this deal. Yeah, I would 1,000% do it in that situation. If the idea is, if I die, you die, and I'm about to be murked by this dude, and all I got to do is trade off my soul for a while, fuck yeah. It's a completely understandable decision.
Do you think Xaden is going to be able to resist pulling from the source?
Yes, because Xaden had the ability to resist every temptation in life other than Violet.
Okay, I like that idea.
It's kind of like drugs and alcohol, right? Like, I like drugs and alcohol. I can resist them to maintain a life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I keep kind of relating the Venom power to, I'm assuming, a drug.
Yeah, probably cocaine, if I'm pulling from my experience. I didn't try anything better. You can resist the temptation, but it is so tempting.
So he's just going to be an initiate for forever. Or...
until he's cured.
Dishonorable discharge from being Venom.
Listen, if there's one thing that we know Xaden Riorson can do, it's dishonorably discharge himself from a group of people who believe themselves to be his boss. No?
Yeah.
It's a wild word soup that I had to do there, but you saw where I was going with it.
Yeah, I did.
Little hopscotch. We got there. Would you do it for me? It's okay to be a little hurtful in this moment. I'm not going to take it personally.
I don't... Well, there was a theory out there that really upset me.
Okay, let's hear it.
It was Violet wouldn't turn to pulling from the source to save Xaden, but she would for Tairn.
I don't think that's all bad. Let me ask you a question. Would you do it to save our kids?
100%.
Right. I don't think it's wrong that you would look at me and go, we've had some good years. But you're probably on the fence with me. And with the kids, it's not a question in your mind, right? It wouldn't be for me either.
No, I think that I would. I think where I'm kind of struggling is I don't understand the full consequences of becoming a Venom, especially after seeing Xaden do it and the consequences of red ring in your eyes and feeling a little powerful, but you saved the person that you love. But I don't think I see the full consequences of becoming a Venom.
I don't think we're to see those consequences yet. I would say if we just look at it from the aspect of bumping a long line of coke, would you do a line of coke to save your children?
To save my kids, but I think you're right. I don't think I would do it for you.
For me.
No, that would be too scary, and I would be scared I would die.
Right.
But if it meant saving the kids...
Or become hopelessly addicted, lose your job and everything else. The respect of everyone you've ever known.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. No, I wouldn't do that for you. I don't think I would.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh,
and that's okay.
But would you do it for me?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's the nature of our relationship. And I think it's a parallel to them. It's a parallel. We do not have a parallel relationship.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I think it's a fair point. I could see Violet doing it for Tairn as well, especially for Indarna. I don't think she would think twice.
In this theory, they were pointing out her doing it for Tairn was to prevent continuing to pull from Tairn and killing him. She would rather pull from the source to save him because she, like in that with the ward stone, if she pulled from the source, she would no longer be pulling from Tairn.
Right. I don't disagree. I'm just saying she would do it to save Tairn's life. Would she do it to save Xaden? Probably not.
Oh, wait. I just had a thought where we were talking about how she had the door wide open to Tairn, which she was imbuing the ward stone. The reason that I thought she had both doors open to Tairn and Indarna was because after Mama Sorrengail kicks her off of it and Brennan is there, she says she closes both doors.
Was the other door Xaden?
No.
No, because Xaden had his... Well, she didn't have her door shut. He had his door shut.
Yes, and at some point, when in chapter 66, he taps into her, opens it up, and she feels her being tempted or her dying, which I think was the moment of her imbuing the ward stone is when he taps into her.
Right, you are.
And also with us thinking she's in Tinsic, and she's like, was that my voice or Brennan's voice? She also didn't know who was touching her. She's like, was that, I don't know who, somebody touched me and I don't know who it was. So she was pretty delirious in that moment.
She was busy. You can't be doing things like figuring out who's touching you.
Someone like touched her arm or shoulder.
You know, like when you're dancing at a bar or whatever, right? You're dancing, you're getting down, and there's a large group of people around you. There's a lot going on, and you feel something touch you, and you're like, no, I'm going to pretend I didn't feel that. Maybe that's kind of what that moment was for her. Not as fun, but still the same moment where you have a, like, and you're like, well, if we just pretend that didn't happen, we just keep moving.
I don't think that's a good analogy, but we'll run with it.
It's probably not.
Those are all my notes. We finished it.
We did finish it. Again, I landed on a note where I like Xaden again in the end.
Yeah, because you think he's going to be a badass.
Yeah. And I think in this moment, he's legitimately thinking of other people than himself. He's upset with the venonness of his current existence because he knows what a threat that is to Violet.
Oh.
And Sgaeyl. He brings up that Sgaeyl just quit talking to him, and he's kind of heartbroken about it. He's human again, and it's not all about him and his crybaby feelings and concerns about his own well-being.
It seems like every time you listen to his POVs, you're happy with him, though.
That's not true. The last book, I didn't like his POVs.
Oh, I thought it was
I shouldn't say I didn't like him. It didn't endear me to him the same way it did that you were like, oh my God, he's so sweet. He loves her. And I'm like, he could have fucking said this before she was dying. And he's like, I'll work the rest of my life. And I'm like, I read the next book. I know you're not going to. So this time, I like it more. And he's going to be more powerful and more badass.
Yeah, Violet can fix him. She's got this.
Or everybody turns a little bit venom and the world lives in harmony.
When we relate this to the Force in Star Wars, that doesn't work out.
Because it requires balance.
Yeah, balance is off.
Yeah, it works in this, though. As long as you're not like a dragon or a griffin or anything else that requires magic. It's going to be fine.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I want to know how you rate this book.
A 5 out of 5. What would you rate this book?
Like 0.5 stars worse than Fourth Wing.
I think that's fair. A lot of people agree that it's not as good as Fourth Wing.
But my absolute favorite moment to happen in any of the books we've ever read also happens in this book.
Which is?
Tairn describing what he would do to Varish.
Oh, yeah.
It was fucking awesome. Every time he did, actually.
Everything about Tairn is amazing.
Specifically, though, the Tairn to Varish moments were easily my favorite, and Varish was probably one of the best written villain characters in any of the books we've read so far.
And especially the fact that his signet was knowing what your pain and weakness is.
Yeah, and just the way he was written to be such an individual personality. There is no other character with a personality similar to what Varish's was.
No, but I wonder if it's going to be leveled up in this next book of essentially bad guys.
I think the next book's going to be bad guys that don't seem that bad.
Oh, no.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Or maybe Xaden's our bad guy.
I think it's too easy to have villains that are so obviously evil all the time. Having a villain that can be personable, like Mr. Nobody in Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Where a part of you's like, fuck it, I kind of want to see where he goes with this.
That would be like a psychological villain, essentially.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. So we're going to find out next week on Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.